Hello guys, and welcome to this video. Today I would like to talk about the entitlement of dog keepers and dog nutters. And the entitlement is even visible in an organized form. I found an article here by the American Kennel Club. I was looking at what their advice actually is when you have problems with your neighbor's dog barking constantly. And I found this article here which is kind of tragically funny in a certain way, and I would like to show that to you, because this article, in my opinion, just demonstrates the absolutely twisted and distorted view of reality that dog nutters actually have. So this is by the American Kennel Club, as you see here on the top left hand corner. And actually, just on a side note, I thought that this was actually pretty funny. I mean, you have definitely noticed that English is not my native language. My native language is German, actually, and after that I had to learn Hungarian. Or actually, yeah, my parents are Hungarian. Anyway, that's why I live here, but not for much longer anyway. Now, I didn't know what the word kennel actually means, and I looked it up online on dict.cc, and I just found it really funny that here you see the translations here on the left. You have kennel, and there are a few German translations here. Now, the first four translations here, they all have to do with dogs. So a kennel is some kind of a dog enclosure, or it can be, like a station where you can. It's kind of a dog hotel where I guess you can put them while you're on holidays. But the funny thing here is actually the fifth translation here, which is in German Gosse, and Gosse is something that is actually really kind of a dirty word. So if you translate it back from German to English, then this is what you get. Like I would say the best translation is the gutter, or the street gutter. So the Gosse is really, Gosse is kind of like a really dirty, dodgy street, that you would have in towns or in villages like 300 years ago, where there's no sewage basically, and everybody is just throwing their trash and their feces and the piss just into the street, and it just has this very negative and filthy meaning. And I really thought that this is very how fitting is this actually. This is so appropriate, when talking about dogs, when talking about all the filth and the diseases that they transmit, and all the slobbering and the bad smells and everything. That's also something that you would have in the Gosse. And yeah, I just found this really funny that then you actually found a club and you call it the American Kennel Club. Like that would be, if you did that in German, it would be the Gossen Club, which is then the American Gutter Club. And I just found it very fitting for these disgusting mutts. Really, it's just yeah. So you see, I'm learning as well. I probably learn much more than everybody who watches these videos. I don't know. I'm surprised anyway that anybody is actually watching this, but apparently some people are. So yeah, and thanks for that. So it seems that I'm not the only one who is suffering under these morons and under these disgusting animals. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. It is indeed. So the American Kennel Club, let's have a look what they have to say. What we should do if our neighbor's little darling is driving us insane. So it's titled "The Neighbor's Dog Barks Constantly, What Can I Do?" Even the most ardent dog lovers among us become aggravated if a neighbor's dog barks incessantly. The constant yapping can disrupt. It's cool that they call it yapping. Like, yeah, it really. So I see some suppressed anger here in the author as well. So the constant yapping can disrupt sleep, ruin your time in the yard, and generally become an ongoing nuisance. But there are some steps you can take. With effort and a little luck, you and the neighbor's dog can peacefully coexist. Well, I'm all ears. For starters, don't blame the dog. He's being a dog. Several things could cause the barking. Well, yeah, don't blame the dog. He's being a dog. Now, a dog that is constantly barking is not normal. You know, that's not just being a dog. I mean, I've read so much stuff from, you know, from dog trainers and behaviorists, and so this is not a contentious issue. A dog that is just constantly barking is just something is wrong with that animal. So it's not just being a dog. Yeah. So don't blame the dog. Yeah, well, yeah. Here we again come to this discussion about, yeah, it's not the dog, it's the owner. And we talked about that in the last video already. But look, dogs are not part of nature. They are mutants, and they're stupid and they're mutants. So it is not just the owner's fault, it's definitely the dog's fault as well. I mean, the dog is doing the barking, so yeah. Anyway, several things could cause the barking. Some breeds are more territorial than others. Whether the dog is in the house or out in the yard, he may be protecting his home from passing cars, someone walking near his property, or just a mailman approaching the door. Oh God, yeah, we've talked about that already. Now, how stupid are these animals actually? They are protecting the home from passing cars. Now, there have been passing cars thousands of times, 10,000s of times, and that stupid mutt is still convinced that this is actually a threat. So how dumb are these animals anyway? They just don't learn anything. And we've also talked about the mailman. Like, here in our street, the mailman, it's always been the same guy. I think he has been doing this job for the last 25 years. Those stupid mutts have seen him hundreds of times and even thousands of times, and they're still freaking out as if it was the first time. So how fucking dumb are these mutts anyway? Dogs don't handle boredom well. Yeah, well, neither do I. If the dog is alone all day in the house or left alone in the yard for long periods of time, he may develop unwelcome compulsive habits such as barking. Well, here again, like, why the fuck do you have a dog if you just leave it alone all the time? Then just don't get a dog at all. So here, actually, yeah, this is proof of how stupid actually the owners are. That's like, you know, getting pregnant and having a child and then just giving the child just immediately into some daycare facility because you don't have time to take care of it anyway. And then when it's old enough, then you will just give it into boarding school and they should take care of it. Then why did you have a child in the first place? My, really. If the dog sees or hears a lot of activity outside, he may become excited enough to bark. This isn't necessarily a warning. It may be a way to express frustration at being left out of the fun, or a stress reaction to the noise and activity. Yeah, well, brilliant. So it is a stress reaction that just causes stress to everybody else because the dog is stressed and then he has to stress everybody else. Like, how bloody absurd is this? But wait for it, it actually gets better. And this is a professional dog owners club, a national dog owners club, yeah, in the United States. Oh, please help us. You get it, but you're being driven to distraction by your neighbor's barking dog. Yeah, well, distraction is kind of a euphemism. So what can you do? The first step is to talk to your neighbors. If they are away from the house all day, they may not even know about the barking, or they may be aware of it and are already working on the problem. Well, I don't know which planet you are living on, but yeah, good luck trying to talk to these morons. Yeah, I made a video about that actually, because I recorded one of the discussions I had with the neighbors here, and like that discussion was just probably the most surreal nonsense rubbish talk that I've ever had with anybody. So yeah, don't kid yourself. While it might be tempting to just drop a note in their mailbox, meet your neighbors face to face. Yeah, well, happy days. Leave the attitude at home and communicate in a friendly, neighborly way that the barking is becoming a problem for you and your family. Oh, leave the attitude at home. Okay, so already we are the ones having the attitude. I see. So it's not the people who just throw a potentially dangerous and extremely loud animal into their yard and leaving it there unattended, barking all day and often all night long. That's not the people with the attitude. The attitude are the people who are actually being disturbed by that. They are the ones having the attitude. Okay. Now, actually, I have to calm down a little bit. You probably notice I'm just getting pissed off here. Now, let's go on. Don't assume, don't accuse. Just explain the problem and give them a chance to respond. It's possible they are inexperienced dog owners. In that case, you might want to suggest some resources that will help them manage the barking. Oh, they are inexperienced dog owners. Like, what exactly does it have to do with being inexperienced? You just have to be an average, decent person to know that it is probably not the best idea to throw an extremely loud animal into your yard and then go to work and leave it there for all, during all your work hours, so that it'll drive everybody else insane. Like, that doesn't really have to do much with experience. It's just a common sense question. But the best things are actually going to follow now. You can be proactive as well. If the dog barks every time you step into your yard or venture near his property, try blocking his vision by planting a hedge or erecting a fence or privacy screen. If the dog's barking is territorial, blocking his view of your property may remove the threat. Of course, dogs don't just sense your presence visually. Mr. barks a lot. Like, how stupid do you actually have to be? How childish is this? Mr. barks a lot. Next door can also hear or smell you. Oh, really? You don't say? If blocking his view doesn't help and he still perceives you as a threat, maybe it's time to make friends with him. Yeah. So again, it's your job to take care of it. Ask your neighbors if you and your family can meet their dog and let him get to know you. You might even suggest that the neighbors bring the dog over to your yard to play a bit. Yeah, sure. Of course. I have nothing else to do in my spare time. Now I have to take care of your dumb mutt being aggressive, and I even have to let it into my yard, and I have to try to make friends with it. Oh, sure, if your trips to the yard are rare, your occasional presence may startle or frighten the dog. Well, I'm really sorry about that I'm using my yard and my garden. So again, I see it's me who is the problem really. Try making time outside an ordinary occurrence. Once he's used to the sight, sounds, and smells of his human neighbors, they may not be such a big deal to him and he won't feel the need to bark. Now, this already sounds extremely dumb and just removed from reality. I mean, try blocking his vision. Now, you can try to block his vision all you want. Like, are they just taking the piss here? You can try to block his vision all you want. The dogs do usually not react to the vision anyway. Like the vision is not the first primary sense that they have. They react to your smell and to the sounds. So you can block their vision all you want. Like they're still going to perceive you. And anyway, planting a hedge or erecting a fence or privacy screen. So I have to do that and I have to pay for that apparently. I mean, your neighbor is not going to pay for that. So I have to spend money and, try to get your animal to shut the bloody hell up. Really? Well, thanks a lot. And then, here in the third paragraph, yeah, they can also hear or smell you. Yeah, they can. So you can forget planting a hedge or the privacy screen or whatever. But I mean, the last paragraph is just the best. You have to become proactive and you actually have to go over to your neighbors and beg them that you can somehow make friends with their disgusting mutts. Like, really? I have to spend time now with this dumb animal? And it's my job to make friends with it? Well, sorry, I beg to differ. And what do you do actually if you're allergic to dogs? I mean, I'm just mentally allergic to them, but there are loads of people who are just physically, medically allergic to them, so they can't go near those mutts. How exactly do you imagine this? And you just notice the just this here is the entitlement that I'm talking about. Like these people, they're just not willing to actually be accountable for their animals. Like it is you that has to become proactive. Like you have to take measures against it and you have to try to find a solution. And it's not them. They just don't want to be held accountable. So the entire article is written in a way as if, the neighbors are the problem. The neighbors who are being disturbed by the barking. They are the actual problem. Yeah, of course, if they were not there, then everybody would be happy, of course. It is such a distorted view of reality that it is not the people who are actually causing the problem who have to become proactive and who have to do something and who have to be held accountable. No, it's the ones suffering from the problem and suffering because of these inconsiderate people. They have to do all the work. Like, what the hell happened actually in the last 20 years? I really don't get it. And then we go on. So you've done all the polite neighborly things you can to stop the annoying barking and nothing's changed. Well, this is usually what happens. Yeah. This is what probably happens in 98% of all cases. You can just go to step 4 straight away. You can just skip all the nonsense beforehand. You may have to resort to filing a formal noise complaint. Most municipalities, landlords, and homeowners associations have noise regulations. You may have to do some detective work to locate the appropriate authority. In some cases, the local animal control authorities are responsible for noise complaints about barking dogs. It might be helpful to check with other neighbors to see if they're also affected by the barking. If so, ask them if they'll file similar complaints. You may have to resort to contacting the police. Yeah. Barking dogs are probably not high on their priority list. Well, you bet they aren't. You bet they aren't. And you'll have to provide them with a written record of everything you've done so far. but they may issue a warning or citation to your neighbor. Last, you can take more drastic steps when all else fails, including taking legal action by going to small claims court. Keep a record of the dates and duration of the barking, take video or audio clips on your mobile phone, and keep a record of all the steps you've taken so far. You might even consider hiring a lawyer to help you through the system. Yeah, thank you for that. We have nothing else to do in our lives than taking care of your disgusting mutts and you not being able to keep them under control. And then, the last here. Are you seeing a theme here? You cannot expect the dog to respect your wish for peace and quiet. What? Are you pulling my leg? You cannot expect the dog to respect your wish for peace and quiet. I really don't know how they mean it, but I really hope that they are saying it in a way that a dog is stupid and therefore a dog cannot know that you want peace and quiet. Or do they mean it in a way that basically you should just bugger off, like just get used to it. Like a dog is a dog and it's barking, so that's its job. So don't expect it to respect your wish for peace and quiet. But if you are willing to make some effort, and if you understand why the dog is barking so incessantly, you may be able to resolve all this with a friendly visit, some time spent with the dog, and at most a few alterations to your yard. Now, this is rubbish. I'm sorry to say it, but this is absolute rubbish. Now, first of all, why is it my job to take care of all this? It really shouldn't be my job. But, even if you did jump through all these hoops, even if you did do it, it just doesn't work, because even if the dog is not barking at you, it doesn't matter. There's so much going on that it'll just bark at other stuff. Like, it is the exact same thing here in our neighborhood. None of the dogs here that I'm surrounded by actually bark at me. I mean, their pea brains have at least finally understood that I'm living here and that I'm not a threat, and so they're not barking at me anymore. It took them long enough, but at least now they're not barking at me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There is 2,000 things every day and every night, other things, that they bark at. So what is the point? What is the point of me inviting them over to make friends and everything if there will just be thousands of other things that will throw them off apparently so much that they just freak out completely? If there is some wind outside, then they just bark at the trees because the branches are moving. If a cyclist is going by, then they're barking at the cyclist. If other dog nutters are walking their dogs, then all of them are going crazy because they see another dog. So it makes no difference. It just makes absolutely no difference. I just really don't understand, like, what reality are these dog nutters actually living in? It's just, all this advice here is just so theoretical rubbish that it is just, in practice, it's just, you can just throw it in the bin straight away. It's pointless. It's absolutely bloody pointless. But, at least you see the entitlement. You see this absolute entitlement. Like, they just take it for granted that the owners are such assholes and they don't have to do anything. And then it's just your job to take care of it. Yeah, just plant a hedge. Build a fence, plant a hedge, make friends with the dog, buy it treats, and yeah, just accommodate us, please. you have to accommodate us, not the other way around. Like, how can anybody be so stupid and so... They have no self-awareness whatsoever. I don't want to deal with your animals. Why don't you understand this? I just don't want to deal with them. That's why I don't have a dog. Like, imagine some other pet keeper would put up the same demands. Like, imagine your neighbors, all of your neighbors had snakes. Imagine they all had snakes. And they would just let the snakes like slither around in their garden and probably even come over to your place. And you would just say, guys, I don't want to deal with your snakes. Keep your snakes in your places. I don't want to be bothered by them. And then they would write such an article. Imagine they would write such an article and then just tell you that, look, you have to make a little bit of an effort. Just make a little bit of an effort and just get used to my snake. Just come over and play a little bit with it. I mean, I don't care if you like it or not, just it's your job to accommodate my snake. And if you go to the park, imagine you go to the park, you sit on a bench. That actually just happened to me today. We have beautiful weather here. I thought I'll go to the park. What do you think is the first thing that happens to me? A family with 3 dogs comes up to me and these mutts all start sniffing my legs. And the family is not just, they don't pull them back on the leashes and just walk by. No, they actually stop and let them smell me. And with a stupid grin on their faces. They just presumed that, yeah, I'm up for it. You know, I'm totally up for it. I was trying to read a book and, you know, oh, look, my little darling is trying, oh, look, he's trying to make friends with you. Like, isn't that cute? And then I just looked at them and they immediately just, apparently my look was so hostile that they just understood that I'm not up for this nonsense. And then they slowly moved away and trotted on. Imagine people would do that with their snakes. They would go to the park, you would go to a park and you would have 20 snake owners with their pets there. And they would walk by you and, you know, the snake would kind of move towards you and, you know, try to smell you and, you know, try to check you out. And they would stand next to you and let their snakes do that. I mean, would you accept that? First of all, what are you doing here with your snakes outside? You know, letting them look at everybody and sniff everybody and smell everybody. Like, perhaps other people don't want to see that. Perhaps other people just want to be left alone in the park and want to have peace and quiet and read a book and not be bothered by your snakes. I mean, nobody would accept that. Nobody would accept that. But with dogs, it has just become so normal that we just think that this is absolutely, yeah, this is totally acceptable. It's totally acceptable. And if you actually ask them to refrain from this behavior, then you are considered the weird guy. You know, you are considered the animal hater, and, you know, you're the dog hater, and you're probably just a terrible person and everything. Yeah, sure. Oh, really, I just can't take it anymore. And here, then, you see such articles where you just see how distorted these people's view of reality is. You have it here, you know, in written form, online, for eternity, in cyberspace. And these people are sick. I'm starting to think that dogs are actually transmitting a virus. It has to be some kind of virus that goes straight to your brain cells and it just modifies your perception, it modifies your behavior, and it modifies your entire personality so that you just become slave. You become a slave to these mutts. I'm really starting to think that, because there are actually parasites in nature that do modify their hosts' behaviors. And perhaps I'll talk about that in a different video. It's perhaps far-fetched, but I'm really starting to think that somehow there is something wrong with the dog keepers. Something is just wrong. And I would really like to know what happened to all these people. It's just unbelievable. And then they even write such articles. It's just crazy. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to show you this. And yeah, originally I just wanted to make like a 10-minute video. This is probably again like more than half an hour. But yeah, it's just yeah, I just have to get away from here. God, really. I'm working so hard on getting away from here, but it's just every day here, like even at the weekend, you just can't have 5 minutes peace and quiet. It's just crazy. And you go to the park and then again you're just being harassed by these disgusting mutts. It's just insane. It's just insane. Okay, guys. Listen, I hope you're having a good day, a quiet day. Don't go near dogs. You take care now. Bye-bye.